Hey girl, hey, we're back. Today I'm gonna do a little resin. So let me real quick put out this disclaimer that when you are working with resin, you should wear protective equipment, as in a face mask and gloves. I don't always do this. And I don't currently have any allergic reactions or anything of that nature, but I do try to make sure my window is open to help some of the fumes. And I do wear gloves because if you've never worked with resin epoxy, you wouldn't necessarily know that it is sticky AF. And it's a pain in the butt to get off. But today, I've been struggling with recording videos while I do resin because I already know the comments will be, make sure you're wearing PPE, and I am aware. I am consciously making an effort, or not an effort, I am consciously deciding that I am not going to wear a mask today. But I do wear one. I do have, I am not getting up to get it, but I do have one. Now, when I do sand my projects, that is something that I don't play with because the sand, it's dusty. And so I make sure I have my glasses. I'm gonna probably buy some protective glasses, and I do it outside when I sand, or I do it in here, door shut, no dogs, nobody else but me, and the door and the window open. But today I have a couple of coasters that I need to make, and I want to try doing something with this canvas. So I was at Michael's or online, and I saw these reversible liquid art panels, and I thought, mainly I figured they were for paint pouring, but if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that me and paint aren't necessarily the best of friends. So I figured I could use it for resin. So let me turn this back off. So it's literally just, and it's, I'm excited. I don't even know what the material is. But this is an 8x10, and I bought a bunch. Oh, look, it says ideal for pouring paint and resin artwork. So when I first got into resin, the whole reason I got into resin is because of the fluid artwork that you could do. And it just spoke to me because I didn't have to worry about being perfect. With paint, I feel like you have to be way more perfect than you do with resin. With resin, no two resin projects are the same. So, example, I made these two coasters at the same time, but I don't know if you can tell, they're not the same. So it really just depends. And I love that because it also gives it originality and one of a kind uniqueness, kind of like me. So y'all are about to watch me try to make sure I don't over pour, under pour, what have you. One thing that I do want to say is if you ever start to think about doing resin, first let me just mention it's an expensive hobby. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. These gallon containers of resin are $100, And I've been getting the ones I had originally wanted in my life, excuse me, was art resin, and it's one of the best resins out there. However, with the best resin comes the best price. So I chose to just go with go to my local Michael's, and I used the one at Michael's because Hobby Lobby no longer has coupons. And with as much as I go through, I really would like to have some coupons. Now, as time progresses, I will probably switch, but this is currently what I use. I just use the local craft store resin. So I have lots of silicone measuring cups and stirrers, and you just mix it. So this is not a how-to video. I'm not about to show y'all how to do this. Kind of. This is more of this is my hobby I started during COVID, actually. So I've only been doing this for 2.5 years. And I actually really love it. It's something, so, dang it. I get resin on myself at least 3 times throughout the process. Whether it's on my hands, whether it's on my arms, on my clothing. I do make an effort. I need to get a apron, but I do try to make an effort to not wear good clothes. But sometimes when the mood strikes, I don't pay a lot of attention, which is why I need a man, I should have timer. It's 4:05. Which is why I need an apron. That way I can always just put it on and then I am protected. I have ruined so many clothing items because of resin. So yeah, there's that. Because once resin gets in your clothes, it doesn't come out. So yeah, and I've already ruined this tank top with something, and it's just my whatever shirt. So we got to make sure this is blended. Now, one of the things that I do not like about resin is how freaking long it takes. It's patience. It's patience that I very much so struggle with. It's all, and okay, so let me back up. So I got about a 30-minute working time for this before it hardens. I've learned that the hard way. And once it hardens, I can't do anything with it. I've actually had to throw away a silicone container because I wasn't paying enough attention. But that's a story for a whole other time. So, but you've got to mix it, and you've got to make sure it's mixed really well, that there are no lines. Like, if you ever did it, you would notice that there would be lines or no lines. And then you also have to make sure that you're not creating too many bubbles, and then you have to do the bubbles, and you got to mix it for a certain amount of time, and then you should let it sit. And so that's what I do. I mix it, I let it sit, and then I get all my colors ready for whatever project it is that I'm going to do for the day. And I haven't really gotten far enough with my brain to process what I wanted to do with this canvas. So you can use alcohol inks. You can use mica powders. This was something that took a lot of time, energy, effort into doing when I was stuck at home during COVID. I was working at Children's Hospital in the behavioral health unit. And let me tell y'all, that was a lot. So this helped. It helps me in my depression, realistically. It kept me from being too depressed, because I am a social butterfly. I like being out. I was very thankful that it was the spring and then summertime, and so we could be outside. So I'd go to the park a lot. My dogs and I went out a lot. Now, because I was working in the hospital, I really never stayed at home. Like, I never had that to contend with, but I also worked a lot. And it would fluctuate between being really, really, really busy and then not busy at all. So, let's see. I think I'm going to try. So I bought these, what are they? They're pouring moldy thingies. My brain stopped working, of course. Basically, they're dividers. So then I can pour, and all three colors will be on it. So I've used it before. It's actually really fun. And I just have to decide today if I want 3 colors or 4. And I'm going with 4 today. It's a really interesting way to do it. I've used mica powder. I've used alcohol inks. Mica powder, hold on one second. Let me see if I can find something a little bit. Yeah. So this would be mica powder. It's just powder mixed with the resin. I did not do the 3-tier thing on this one. This started off as something different and it became this. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we are not always supposed to be fans of our work. We have to let someone else decide. Like this one. So this is the one that I did the 3 colors. I did 2 blues and a white. And this, it is not anywhere. It is nothing like what I had envisioned. But I decided to leave it because random people who came over were like, oh my goodness, I love that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I had to grab my mica powder because I hadn't decided what colors I wanted. It's always such a tricky thing to decide what color. And because this is white, I don't think I'm gonna go white. I don't know. So pink and purple are my favorite colors. You know what? We're gonna do this sunset orange and orange, yellow. Wait. How many colors am I doing? 4. Orange, yellow, blue, and green. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. So, yeah. Resin has been, it's been fun. So, like I said, I started out with canvases, and then I bought molds, and so I started making coasters. And then I was like, you know what? I see all these people with their cups. Maybe I could try making cups. And then I started making cups. And I love making cups, actually. Cups are probably my favorite things to do. So like this is a Harry Potter inspired cup. I have actual real Harry Potter pages on it. More Hufflepuff. I don't remember what the blue one is. Raven? No. It's not Slytherin. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember? But yeah, so cups, and they're just really fun to do. So I am going to, so I have a lot of stirrers because I am terrible at cleaning my stuff. So basically, if you want to get resin out of your silicone molds, you want to use alcohol. So I use alcohol and paper towel, and that typically seems to work. So the powder is just like powder. It's literally powder, and you don't want a whole lot, but sometimes less is more. Sometimes more is more. It really just depends. And I never know until I've started mixing it, and then I'm like, I either like it or I don't. And so I will keep this. So what I typically do is I make a big batch like this, and that way I have enough to do multiple projects at the same sitting. It makes it easier. I don't even think this is the blue I want, but it's the blue I'm going with. It makes it easier so that I don't have to mix up another batch. Oh, I don't use yellow often. I have a lot of yellow. Man, I could say so much about resin because it has become one of my favorite things. But then, wow, this orange is orange. Y'all, I might regret these colors, but here we are. So, here we are. It'll either turn out really amazing or really terrible. And that's the thing that I'm having to, that I struggle with a little bit with resin still, but also am loving and learning how to embrace, is that it's not going to be perfect and you're going to only learn your lesson by doing it. So, real quick, once you've let it sit for a few minutes, then I usually just hit it with the heat gun. This heat gun used to be for when I embossed cards, but it has resin all over it now. So you hit it with the heat gun to get rid of the bubbles, because bubbles eventually, as the resin cures, creates holes in your artwork. And that's not cool. That is not cool at all. So since the coasters are really the focus here, I am going to make sure I have enough resin and pour them first. So I try to be as gingerly as possible to limit the amount of bubbles that are going to be crept up into the mold. I will put this resin in here, let it sit for a hot sec, and then I will hit it with the heat gun as well. There are many different ways to keep resin from bubbling, but between my resin and the heat gun is my typical go-to. Now I also have, I've made this little tray space so close to me so that I could easily access all my tools, and it is so nice. I have rearranged my office and I am enjoying it. So I got some toothpicks because there are bubbles at the bottom, and I just want to pull them up to the top. Now I do have to remind all y'all, I am no expert about this at all. There are plenty of other people out there who are way better at this than I am. I just do it because it's fun. I enjoy it. It helps me with my depression and anxiety. And it kind of reminds me to have patience, because because like I said, you got to give it time. And then also, I can't see what the final project is for 24 hours. So I don't know if it turns out amazing or crappy for 24 hours. Okay, so I'm not going to forget about that, but we're going to do this. So somebody asked for the, like, a honey drizzle is what my friend named them, but they're basically brown coasters. So I just drop some alcohol into it, and I'll do a different video of like the actual resin, or doing the project another day. But I dropped some alcohol inks in here, and this one is a pearl alcohol ink, so it has glitteriness in it. Now, when you add the white, oh, that was a lot more white than I had anticipated. But when you add the white, it pushes the color down. So basically, I'm doing this Petri effect. It's like a Petri dish, and so it looks like, so the colors will eventually drop down. It didn't do it a whole lot on this one. You can see it, but not as much. And so I'm going to add a different color brown. And then more white, and then these are done. And so one thing that I really have to remember, especially when I'm doing coasters and things like that, is that less can always be more, and to trust the process. It is not something I am very good at, but it is something that I am really trying to work on. And I always try to think about it, if I can trust the process in this resin and see how amazing things turn out, why can't I trust the process with my life? Right? I know. Far stretch, because they're two completely different things. One is just a craft that can be thrown away later, and the other is your life. However, I'm just going to throw a few more sprinkles. This is where I mess up. Because I'm like, oh, I don't know. Okay, I'll let it go. All right. And so I've had to tell myself to walk away. Because I will find myself adding more and more and more, and then it's done, and I'm like, ooh, I'm not a fan. But this actually might turn out perfect. So, it's exciting because no two items will ever be the same, but it's also terrifying, annoying, because no two items will ever be the same. So now we are going to move on to this canvas. So let's go back to trusting the process. Trusting the process is something that I personally struggle with, because I don't know if anybody else is like me, but I need to be in control. I hate how much of a control freak I am. And it's actually made me kind of like, I remember saying, I'm afraid of death. I am deathly afraid of death, no pun intended. And that's really just because I can't control it. I can't control how I go, when I go, any pain or anything like that. And that's abso-freaking-lutely terrifying to me. Because what? What you mean I can't control it? And we are going to add a 5th color because, maybe not. We'll just make this work. Why not? YOLO, right? You only live once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, this one. This might turn out to be a disaster, but you don't know. What is it? Is there something out there that you want to do, but you're afraid to do it? It's kind of, like I've mentioned in other videos, courage. You get courage by couraging. And one of the things about courage is you just kind of do it and you just see, because you literally never know how or what it will turn out like. It could end up being the most amazing thing ever. I've definitely done that. I've definitely created some amazing works of art that I thought were going to be terrible. Oh, look at that. I have enough resin for these 5 colors. And this is going to be great. Okay. And I just want y'all to hang on with me. I know this longer video, you can skip through some parts if you want. But I am almost done and I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out. Okay, and now I'm making a mess, which is what happens with resin. Me and resin have this like love-hate relationship where sometimes it wants to cooperate with me and sometimes it doesn't. And this yellow is not mixing very well. So once, that's what I was also saying about less is more. You don't really know until you start mixing the resin to start seeing if that is going to work or if you need more color. I had a point to my madness. Try new things. You might love it, you might not, but you tried. One of the things that I decided to start doing in 2020 so 2020 was a big year for me. 2019, I asked my husband for a divorce and then I moved out. And that was hard, but that is a topic for another day. And so I moved out, and 2020, I was seeing that I was falling into, so I moved out in September of 2019. And although as happy as I was as far as like making the change, this is all I had known for I don't even remember how long it had been at that point. It had been a long time. And so it was terrifying. And I didn't have a full-time job. I was just selling LuLaRoe, and I was gonna succeed in selling it, and it didn't go the way I planned for it to go. And then I moved in with friends who let my dogs and I move in. And let me tell you, it was definitely a full house. There were 3 adults and 4 dogs and a baby. Yeah, it was an adventure. 3 adults, 4 dogs, and a baby. And these dogs aren't little tiny creatures either. I have 2 German Shepherds and they have 2 Huskies. So, yeah, that was an adventure. But luckily their house was big enough to where we could all function. And they let me stay for quite some time. And I really appreciate them and allowing me that safe place to start to figure out me and who I am and the things I want and what I want out of life. It was obviously terrifying, but exciting. And so start in the beginning of oh my God, Becky. What the fudge, y'all? Ugh. So this is what I'm talking about, y'all. You just got to be careful. I put way too much. Oh, it's about to just be what it is. Y'all, this is gonna be hilarious. I can't wait to see how this turns out. You got to be more careful. Less is always more, but sometimes shit happens. I just wanted a little bit. Now I'm afraid to add any more color to any of the other ones for fear that I'm gonna dump a bunch in there. Let me get one of these. Anyway, so January 2020, I decided that I was going to do 2 things that either excited me or scared me. I never went to the movies by myself. I didn't go out to eat by myself because those things terrified me. I can't tell you why, but they did. And so I started doing a list. I started doing things. And let me tell you, I learned a lot about myself during that time. Every month I made a point to do 2 things that excite me or scared me. Because honestly, I was tired of living in fear. Tired of living in fear to do things, to live life, to experience life. And so the first thing I did was cut my hair. And if you've seen any of the other videos, then you know that that was a big deal for me, cutting my hair. And I think I'll dig deeper into that in another video. But, oh, also, you gotta be okay with wasting some gloves. Because sometimes it is what it is. Real quick, hold on, let me hit this with the heat gun. So I started doing things that were exciting to me. I started a new job, doing something I had never done before. That's when I started working at Children's Hospital in the behavioral health. And that was eye-opening. I went to a Christian concert. I saw Big Daddy Weave. And I even bought the VIP and got to meet them and take a picture with them. That was really cool. And I cut my hair. And then, of course, as the year progressed, things, got in the way. COVID happened. I didn't get to do as much, but I still made an effort to do exciting, scary things. COVID really came and just messed everything all up. I remember saying to my auntie, who was really upset that I was out and about, that, Auntie, either COVID kills me or I kill me. because me and my depression were not handling the shutdown very well. Because not only was the world shutting down, but like my whole life had started to change. You know, I had asked for my husband for a divorce. I like starting a new job. I'm living with friends, and now I'm feeling all the feelings because I can't take care of myself, and I'm too grown to not be able to take care of myself because these friends were younger than me. And I should be the one that they're coming to, and yada, yada, yada. You know, all the things that we're, quote, supposed to be doing, all the way our lives are supposed to be. You know, they're married with a kid and a house, and I'm not. I mean, technically, I was married with a kid, not with a kid, but with a house. And so things were changing. And I'm also really not great with change. I wish I was better. But I am making an effort to be better because without change, there would be no butterflies. And I absolutely love butterflies. And actually, change is literally the only thing that is constant. We are constantly changing. We are changing. The things around us are changing. And if we are not changing, we are stagnant. We are standing still. And that doesn't seem exciting either. So I'm going to pour this real quick, and then we'll see how this goes because my phone is dying. Oh yeah, these are some great colors. I'm so excited. So hopefully I will be able to show you the end result later. I hope you have a fantastic day. And as always, remember, you are beautiful, you are amazing, and you are enough. Bye.